In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at 10 of the craziest, weirdest, strangest unsolved mysteries ever.
10.
Lady Babushka. So this was a lady that was present during JFK's assassination. She was shown in pictures standing in the crowd, and supposedly she took a picture of the event. Now, when the FBI and police went to look for her for evidence, she was nowhere to be found. They were looking for her photo. They were looking for anything that was related to the assassination, and nothing was found. And it's been a topic of many conspiracy theories, including that she could have been involved in the assassination. But whether this is true, we may never find out, because she has never been found. And it's been nearly 50 years, so who knows, maybe she's dead.
9.
Cicada 3301. Now, this story involves some puzzles that have been released for the past couple of years online. They're hosted by a group called the 3301, and basically these puzzles are very complex, containing secret messages, numbers, and symbols, and they're really hard to decipher. Now, what makes this also covert is that the purpose of the puzzles are unknown. No one really knows who's behind them and who they are and what they're trying to do. What's also interesting about this is that the group that's behind the puzzle is leaving clues in different areas of the world, like Hawaii and Sweden. So it just makes it a very, very interesting yet secret, mysterious subject. And there's also been a lot of conspiracy theories behind this, including that the puzzles are a recruitment tool for organizations like the NSA and CIA, and they're basically searching for the brightest people on the internet to come join those organizations. So Cicada 3301, a very secret group that have been releasing these puzzles, and we really don't know much about them.
8.
The WOW signal. In the summer of 1977, a man by the name of Jerry Ammon was scanning radio waves from space when he came across a strange signal. The waves saw a crazy spike, and the signal lasted approximately 72 seconds. And after further evaluation, it appeared that the signal came from a star located 120 light years away, a place where no humans have ever been to or even seen. To produce that signal, it would have required a 2.2 gigawatt transmitter, more powerful than anything on Earth. And so to this day, it remains a mystery to how the signal was even created. The only plausible explanation is aliens, and several attempts have been made to even locate the signal, but nothing's been found.
7.
Bimini Road. So Bimini Road is an underground rock formation located near the Bahamas and the Bimini Islands. The formation stretches about half a mile and is composed mostly of limestone blocks. And the story behind this is that in the early 20th century, a prophet by the name of Edgar Cay formulated a prediction that parts of Atlantis would be discovered around these islands. A few decades later, and his prediction turned out to be pretty accurate. But the real mystery here is this really part of Atlantis, and how was the prophet able to predict this? 70 years later, and we still don't really have an explanation.
6.
The dancing plague. So in 1518, this woman created this crazy trend where she would go outside of her house in the town and start dancing. This wasn't your regular form of dancing, though. This was an unusual type of movement that she performed, and many other people followed her. At one point, it was believed that 400 people were dancing with her. But the story takes a sharp turn because many of those people later suffered from heart attacks and strokes, and there's really no reason why this happened. Many people have said that it's because the people were physically unfit, but there's still no explanation today why these two events were linked.
5.
The Green Children of Wilpit. So this story concerns two children that came across this village in England called Wilpit. Their skin was green, and they spoke in this unusual language, and they only consumed the beans. Over time, though, they did lose their green skin, and they did eat other food. When they were baptized, the boy grew very sick and died, and on the other hand, the girl learned to speak English. She was able to tell the people that she and her brother came from this land called the Land of St. Martin, which didn't even exist, where everybody was the color green. There really isn't any knowledge to whether these children were actually telling the truth, or they're just botching some made-up fairy tale, but it is interesting to think about whether this place does exist and whether there are more green people.
4.
The Zodiac Letters. So these were a series of letters that were sent by a serial killer to the police as a way to taunt them. The letters contain puzzles with encrypted text, and to this day only one of these letters have been solved, but the identity of the man is still unknown. It's not known how the serial killer got away with sending these letters, never being traced, and today it remains a mystery as it's one of the biggest unsolved serial killer cases.
3,
The hairy hands. During the 1920s, a stretch of road existed in the UK where it saw a high number of accidents. Every one of these accidents were fatal and strikingly similar, and there really was no answer to how these accidents even occurred and why no one survived. Until one day, where a man managed to survive after being unconscious for days. He explained to everyone that as he approached the road, a hairy hand would grab the steering wheel, taking it out of his control. Now this seems like something that any person would say after being unconscious for days, but it gets interesting because another person managed to survive, and he also described a hairy hand grabbing the steering wheel. He even mentioned that the hands would come through the windows. There's no telling whether this is true, but it is kind of strange when two men gave the exact same stories.
2,
The Pollock twins. So this is a story about 11 and 16-year-old sisters who tragically died in a car accident. The following year, the mother actually gave birth to twins, and where the story gets strange is that one of the twins had a birthmark in the same exact location as her deceased sister. What's also interesting is that the twins began requesting the same things, same toys, as their deceased sisters. The only problem is that they had no prior knowledge of their deceased sisters. When taken to a well-known psychologist, he deeply studied the case and concluded that it was indeed a reincarnation.
1,
The foot mystery of Salish Sea. So since 2007 on the coast of Salish Sea in British American Washington, there's been a lot of detached feet showing up. So far there's really no answers to how this might have occurred, since they can't really find the other body parts linked to these feet. There have been a number of theories including a Dexter-like serial killer being involved, and that the feet actually belong to people who were involved in boating accidents and plane crashes. But even that is very rare because the foot just doesn't come apart from the rest of the body. But what's also strange about this though is that all of the feet that have been showing up have been wearing tennis shoes. So are they all linked or are these all separate cases? We don't know.